I was about 7 years old when I first refused to step into the water. We were at the beach. The whole family was splashing around near the shore, and I stood ankle deep in the surf, unable to make myself take another step because I couldn't see the bottom. The water was dark and murky, and a thought lodged itself in my mind. There's something down there, something big, something with teeth, something moving right beneath me. Now I'm 27, and I still feel it. Every time my feet lose contact with the bottom and everything goes dark, that same 7-year-old boy inside me switches on, knowing for sure someone's watching from below. And I'm not alone in this. This fear resides in millions of people around the world. We fear sharks more than car accidents, more than heart disease, more than anything truly dangerous. And most of us have never even seen a shark in real life. Where does this come from? Why does an animal we rarely encounter evoke such primal, irrational terror? The answer to this question turned out to be far more interesting than the fear itself. Because when you start digging, not in the direction of horror stories and sensational headlines, but towards science, a story unfolds that truly takes your breath away. Sharks appeared on this planet 450 million years ago. To put that number into perspective, let's compare it to something familiar. Trees, the ordinary trees growing outside your window, appeared around 400 million years ago. This means that when sharks had already mastered the world's oceans for 50 million years, there wasn't a single tree on land, not one. The shores were bare, rocky, covered at most with moss and lichen. No forests, no grass, no flowers. The earth looked like another planet, while sharks were already swimming in the water. Dinosaurs? They came and went. Sharks were here before them, during them, and remained after. 5 mass extinctions. 5 times the planet went through catastrophes that wiped out most living beings. Each time, sharks survived. Not because they hid, not because they got lucky, but because they turned out to be one of the most adaptable groups of animals in the history of life on Earth. And this is where it gets really fascinating. We tend to think of sharks as fish. Well, big fish with sharp teeth. What's so complicated about that? But in reality, sharks aren't fish in the conventional sense. They belong to the class of cartilaginous fish, which is a fundamentally different branch of the evolutionary tree. Bass, tuna, cod, salmon, they're all bony fish. They have skeletons made of hard bone, just like you and me. But a shark's entire skeleton is made of cartilage, the same material your ears and the tip of your nose are made of. Try touching your ear right now. Feel how flexible and light it is? That's what the entire shark is built from. This isn't a coincidence or an oversight of evolution. It's a brilliant engineering solution that's 450 million years old, and nature hasn't come up with anything better for life in the ocean since. But we'll talk more about that when we get to the structure of the body. Right now, what's important is this. When we say shark, we usually picture one image, a massive gray creature with a triangular fin circling a boat. But in reality, scientists currently know about 540 species of sharks, 540, and they're so different that you wouldn't even recognize some of them. There are sharks the size of your palm that live at depths where sunlight doesn't reach, and they glow in the dark through special organs on their bodies. There are sharks weighing 20 tons that feed exclusively on plankton and can't harm humans at all. There are sharks that live in freshwater, in rivers, thousands of kilometers from the nearest sea. There are sharks that live for 300 years and grow just 1 centimeter a year. And there are sharks that hunt at such speeds that they leap out of the water to heights of 2 stories. They inhabit every ocean on the planet, from warm coral reefs to icy Arctic depths, and each of these 540 species occupies its specific niche in the ecosystem, performing its unique role. And this is where we get to the real reason I started this story. A shark isn't just a predator. It's not just a toothy machine that swims and eats. A shark is a regulator. It's a creature whose health is vital for the entire ocean. Sounds like an exaggeration? Well, let's check it against a real example. When the population of large sharks off the eastern coast of North America sharply declined, the consequences were unexpected. Without sharks, rays began to reproduce uncontrollably. There were so many rays that they wiped out entire populations of scallops and oysters. The fishing industry of an entire region suffered colossal losses, not because sharks ate anyone, but because sharks were removed from the system, and everything collapsed. The ocean isn't just a collection of separate species living independently. It's a complex web of interconnections, where each element supports something else, and sharks in this web are among the main structural supports. Remove them, and the floors you didn't even know existed start to crumble. That's why the story of sharks isn't a story about scary fish from horror movies. It's a story about us, about how the world we live in is structured, about how one creature, which has survived 450 million years of evolution and 5 mass extinctions, is powerless against the only species that appeared on the planet literally yesterday in geological terms. Humans have existed for about 300,000 years, sharks 450 million. And in the last 60 years, we've managed to reduce the populations of some species by more than 90%. A creature that survived the asteroid impact that wiped out the dinosaurs can't survive us. But that's for later. For now, I want you to forget everything you've known about sharks from movies, from news, from headlines. Forget Jaws. Forget all those clips of bloody attacks, because what you'll learn next will turn your understanding of these animals upside down. In the next part, we'll break down a shark literally piece by piece, from its skeleton to the sixth sense that we don't have and never will. And believe me, when you discover what a body honed by evolution for nearly 500 million years is capable of, your fear of dark water won't disappear. But something new will be added to it: respect. 450 million years. This isn't just a number from a textbook. It's 450 million years of continuous engineering work. Each generation is slightly more precise than the last. Every mutation passes through a harsh survival filter, and everything that doesn't work gets weeded out. What remains is a machine in which every part is perfected. And we should start with what a shark is actually made of. We're used to thinking that all vertebrates, fish, birds, us, have skeletons made of bone. Hard, rigid, heavy bone. A shark's skeleton is entirely cartilaginous, completely from head to tail. And this isn't because the shark hasn't grown up to a real skeleton, as is sometimes written in children's encyclopedias. This is a conscious, if you can say so, choice of evolution, and it gives the shark a huge advantage. Cartilage is about twice as light as bone. For an animal that lives in water and relies on speed and maneuverability, this is a colossal difference. When a bony fish turns in the water, its heavy skeleton creates inertia, and it needs time to maneuver. A shark turns almost instantly. Its light, flexible frame allows it to change direction with such sharpness that its prey simply can't react in time. But a light skeleton creates another problem: buoyancy. Most bony fish have a swim bladder, an air sac inside their bodies that allows the fish to hover at the right depth without expending energy. Sharks don't have a swim bladder. Instead, nature came up with another solution, and it's so elegant that it sounds almost fictional. The liver. A regular liver, but the size of a suitcase. In some species, the liver makes up to 30% of the total body mass. It's filled with a special oil, squalene, which is lighter than water and acts like a built-in float. The more fat in the liver, the better the shark can maintain the desired depth. In deep-sea species like the dogfish shark, the liver is so saturated with this oil that people have been harvesting dogfish specifically for liver oil. It's used as a lubricant for machinery and as a component in cosmetics. Now, let's talk about teeth. And this is where I get chills every time. We tend to think of teeth as something permanent. Humans have 2 sets of teeth in their lifetime: baby and permanent. Lose a permanent tooth. That's it. You're left with a gap. For sharks, Teeth are a conveyor belt, literally. Behind their jaws are rows of new teeth that constantly grow and push forward, replacing those that fall out or break. Throughout its life, a single shark can replace up to 30,000 teeth. 30,000. And that's why fossilized shark teeth are the most common fossil remains on the planet. They're found on every continent, including Antarctica. Every tooth a shark lost over hundreds of millions of years fell to the ocean floor and could be preserved in stone. Billions of sharks over millions of generations. And you'll understand why paleontologists literally trip over these finds. But all this, skeleton, liver, teeth, isn't even the most interesting part. The most interesting part begins when we get to the senses, because a shark doesn't just have 5 senses like we do, it has 6, and each one operates at a level that's hard for us to even imagine. Let's start with smell. A shark can detect blood in the water at a concentration of 1 part per million. To understand what that means, take an Olympic swimming pool, drop 1 drop of blood into it, and stir. A shark will smell it. 2/3 of its brain, not half, but 2/3, is dedicated to processing smells. This area of the brain is so developed that, essentially, a shark perceives the world primarily through smell, and only then through everything else. Hearing. A shark's hearing is tuned to a specific range. To infrasound, those low frequencies that we can't hear at all. And here's a chilling detail. It's at these frequencies that an injured animal sounds in the water. Chaotic, irregular splashes of low-frequency vibrations. For a shark, it's like a siren saying, "Here's an easy meal." When a person flails in panic in the water, they generate exactly this type of signal. The lateral line, an organ we don't have at all. It's a system of canals running along the entire body of the shark, filled with a special fluid. It detects the slightest changes in water pressure, in complete darkness. At depths where not a single beam of light penetrates, a shark senses that something is moving nearby. It doesn't see, doesn't hear, doesn't smell, just feels the vibrations in the water with its body, and that's enough to accurately determine distance and direction. And finally, the 6th sense, the ampullae of Lorenzini. These are tiny jelly-like pores on the shark's snout, and each one is a biological sensor for electric fields. Every living creature generates a weak electric field. Our hearts beat, muscles contract, nerves transmit signals, and all of this creates electricity. Tiny, negligible, but a shark can sense it. A fish buries itself in the sand, freezes, doesn't move, makes no sound, is invisible and undetectable. A shark swims by and accurately finds it because it senses the fish's heartbeat through the electric field. The same ampullae serve another function. They respond to the Earth's magnetic field. A shark has a built-in compass in its head that allows it to migrate across oceans for thousands of kilometers and return to the same places with a precision that no navigator can achieve without satellites. And now, here's the most important part. For a long time, it was believed that a shark is just a biological automaton, a set of reflexes and instincts compiled into one body. It swims, eats, reproduces, and that's it. But research in recent decades has shown a completely different picture. Sharks can learn. They remember routes and return to the same hunting grounds. And the great white shark, the one that evokes the most fear, chooses the angle of approach before an attack, so the silhouette of its prey is maximally contrasted against the light from above. It approaches from below, from the direction of the sun, so the prey is clearly visible against the bright surface. This isn't instinct, it's not a reflex, it's not an automatic reaction, it's calculation, it's analysis of conditions, and the selection of an optimal strategy in real time. A creature we've come to think of as a mindless meat grinder with fins actually thinks before it acts. And when you understand this, a sensory apparatus that no other animal has, a skeleton perfectly adapted for water, teeth that never run out, and a brain capable of making tactical decisions, you begin to realize why this creature has survived for 450 million years. Not because of strength, because of the perfection of its design. In the next part, we'll talk about species that break all the molds, from the dwarf shark, which fits in your palm and glows in the dark, to the megalodon, whose bite force exceeded that of a Tyrannosaurus rex by about 10 times. And yes, we'll finally figure out if the megalodon could still be alive today. We've discussed how a shark is structured inside. Now let's look at how differently nature has arranged this design, because the range among shark species is something extraordinary. It's like if the word car simultaneously meant both a child's scooter and a heavy-duty dump truck. At one end of the scale is the dwarf shark. An adult fits in your palm, lives at depths where sunlight doesn't reach at all, and possesses an ability that sounds like something out of a sci-fi movie. It glows. Its body has special organs called photophores that produce a soft greenish light. Why is this necessary at depths where no one can see anything anyway? Scientists believe that the glow from below blurs the outline of the shark against the weak light coming from above, making it invisible to predators looking up. So it's not a flashlight for hunting. It's an invisibility cloak. At the other end is the whale shark. 20 tons of living weight, the length of a bus, a mouth 1.5 meters wide. And yet it feeds exclusively on plankton, tiny organisms floating in the water column. The whale shark simply opens its massive mouth and filters tons of water, sifting out food. It's completely safe for humans, and divers in the Philippines and Mexico regularly swim alongside them. There are observations that some individuals seem to recognize specific people upon repeated encounters and swim closer to them than to strangers. Between these two extremes lies a whole world of species, each of which has found its unique survival strategy. The mako shark is the sprinter of the ocean. It can reach speeds of 70 kilometers per hour and hunts tuna and swordfish, which are, themselves, considered some of the fastest prey in the ocean. During a chase, a mako can leap out of the water to heights of up to 6 meters. That's about the height of a 2-story building. No other marine predator of that size can achieve such speeds and make such jumps. The bull shark is the complete opposite in strategy. It's not about speed, it's about versatility. It has a capability that no other shark on the planet possesses. It can live in fresh water. Its kidneys and special glands can regulate the salt levels in its blood, adapting to the surrounding environment. Bull sharks have been caught in rivers 3,000 kilometers from the sea. 3,000. It's like a marine animal swimming deep into a continent and feeling perfectly fine there. The Greenland shark is a whole different universe. It lives in the icy waters of the Arctic, grows just 1 centimeter a year, and is apparently the longest living vertebrate on the planet. Its average lifespan is around 300 years, and scientists have found individuals estimated to be around 400 years old. 400. This shark was born around the time Galileo was just starting to point his telescope at Jupiter. It swam in those same waters while humanity went through revolutions, world wars, and ventured into space. The goblin shark lives at depths of up to 2 kilometers and looks like something designed in a horror genre. It has a long, flat protrusion on its head and a jaw that literally shoots forward during an attack, extending several centimeters out of its mouth in a fraction of a second. This works through tendons that store energy like a compressed spring. The shark prepares, tenses its muscles, and at the right moment, everything is released in one lightning-fast movement. And here we should mention one of the strangest features found in many shark species: tonic immobility. If you flip a shark onto its back, it enters a state of complete relaxation. Its muscles relax, its breathing slows, and the shark simply hangs in the water as if it's been switched off. This lasts for several minutes, after which it comes to and swims away. Scientists still don't fully understand why nature built this shutdown button into one of the most efficient predators in the history of life on Earth. And now, the megalodon. The topic many of you might have started watching this video for. The megalodon isn't a myth, an exaggeration, or an internet legend. It was a real animal that existed from 23 to about 3 million years ago. It measured up to 18 meters long, larger than a city bus, weighed between 50 and 100 tons. Its teeth were 18 centimeters long, each the size of an adult man's palm, but the most astonishing figure is its bite force. According to scientists' calculations, it reached 340,000 newtons. For comparison, the bite force of a Tyrannosaurus rex, the one considered one of the most powerful predators in history, was about 10 times less. The megalodon could bite a whale in half, and that's not a metaphor. Traces of its teeth have been found on fossilized bones of cetaceans all over the world. It was at the top of the food chain on a scale that's hard to comprehend. Entire oceans were its hunting grounds, and nothing alive could stand against it. So why did it go extinct? About 3 million years ago, a significant cooling of the oceans occurred. The warm coastal waters where the megalodon raised its young began to disappear. The pups, which needed warm, shallow water to survive, found themselves without shelter. At the same time, orcas emerged, animals much smaller than the megalodon but social, coordinating their hunts, able to act as a group and compete for the same prey. The megalodon was a solitary giant that needed an enormous amount of food every day. When conditions changed, its size turned from an advantage into a death sentence. And here's where we need to close the question that gets asked most often. Could a megalodon still be alive somewhere in the depths of the ocean? The answer is no, and here's why. The megalodon was a warm water species, tied to coastal waters. It couldn't survive in cold depths. Its physiology was adapted to different conditions. A creature 18 meters long and weighing nearly 100 tons couldn't exist unnoticed. It would need tons of food, and its presence would inevitably leave traces. And the simplest argument, no one finds fresh megalodon teeth anywhere. Shark teeth are, as we've already mentioned, the most common fossils on the planet. If the megalodon were alive, its teeth would regularly be found on beaches and the ocean floor. But all the specimens found are ancient, mineralized, millions of years old. The megalodon is gone, but what it left behind, teeth, bite marks on whale bones, an entire layer of geological history, tells the story of a creature that the ocean has never created again. In the next part, we'll finally get to the main topic, us. How many people actually die from sharks, why these attacks happen, and what to do if you find yourself in the water next to a shark. Also, why the director of the most famous shark movie called it the biggest mistake of his career. Alright, let's talk about what you've been thinking about from the very beginning. Attacks, teeth, blood in the water, that nightmare that keeps half the people on the planet from going into the ocean deeper than knee-deep. The reality, however, looks nothing like what the headlines tell us. On average, there are about 60 to 80 unprovoked shark attacks on humans worldwide each year. Across all oceans, on all beaches, among all surfers, divers, and swimmers combined. Of those, about 10 people die. 10 people a year on nearly 8 billion people on the planet. Let's put that next to other numbers. About 2,000 people die each year from lightning strikes. Around 100,000 from snake bites. We fear sharks as if they're hunting us deliberately. But the statistical chance of dying from a shark attack is almost impossible to measure. But why do attacks happen then? Here's where it gets interesting. Because in most cases, it's not about hunting. It's about a mistake. The great white shark, the species most associated with attacks, strikes from below. It rises from the depths at great speed and hits its prey with such force that it sometimes leaps out of the water with it. In nature, this strategy is aimed at seals and sea lions swimming at the surface. Now take a surfer on a board and look at them from below, from a few meters deep. Two elongated silhouettes on the sides. Arms, a wide body in the middle, the board. From below, it looks indistinguishable from a seal. The shark isn't attacking a person, it's attacking what it thinks is its usual prey. And here's what happens after the first bite in most documented cases. The shark retreats. It lets go, because a human isn't the kind of prey it needs. Too little fat, too many bones. The shark tried it and realized it made a mistake. For the victim, of course, that doesn't make it any easier, but it's important to understand the mechanics. The shark doesn't want to eat you, it wants to figure out what you are. There's one story that changed an entire generation's perception of sharks, and unfortunately, not for the better. In 1945, the American cruiser USS Indianapolis was torpedoed in the Pacific Ocean. The ship sank in 12 minutes, and the distress signal was ignored. For almost 3 days, around 800 surviving sailors held on in the open ocean. Of 1,160 people on board, 316 were rescued. This tragedy inspired the creators of the movie Jaws in 1975. The film became the first summer blockbuster in cinema history and created the image of the man-eating shark that lodged itself in the public consciousness for decades. The director later said he considered Jaws his biggest mistake, not as a cinematic work, but as an event that triggered a wave of mass shark extermination around the world. But if you ever find yourself in the water and see a shark nearby, here's what you need to do. Stay vertical. Don't lie horizontally on the surface, because that horizontal silhouette resembles the shark's usual prey. Back away slowly, facing the shark. Don't turn your back to it. Don't make sudden movements, and don't thrash around. Chaotic vibrations in the water attract attention. If the shark approaches closely, a firm strike to the nose, in the area where the ampullae of Lorenzini are located, can stop it. Those receptors are very sensitive, and strong pressure on them causes discomfort for the shark. In 1963, Australian diver Rodney Fox was attacked by a great white shark during an underwater hunting competition. It tore his muscles, broke his ribs, and damaged his lungs. He miraculously survived. And here's the amazing part. After recovering, he didn't start hunting sharks out of revenge. He dedicated the rest of his life to studying and protecting them. He created a foundation, organized scientific expeditions, and worked with researchers. He said one simple thing: the shark just made a mistake, and that's no reason to wipe out the entire species. And now, the last part, the hardest one. Because if everything I've talked about until now was about wonder and admiration, now it's about what we've done. 100 million sharks a year. That's a number you need to remember. Every year, humanity destroys 100 million sharks, mainly through two things: finning. When a shark is caught, its fins are cut off, and it's thrown back into the water still alive, where it slowly sinks because it can't move or breathe without its fins. And bycatch, when sharks get caught in industrial nets meant for other fish and die simply as waste. In the last 60 years, populations of some species have declined by more than 90%. And the problem is that sharks can't recover as quickly as other fish. A female mako carries her young for 18 months. A whale shark doesn't reach sexual maturity until around 30 years old. They're not rabbits or herring. Sharks reproduce slowly, and when we kill them faster than they can give birth, the math only works one way. Remember that example from the eastern coast of America I mentioned in the first part? Remove the sharks, rays proliferate, scallops and oysters disappear. An entire fishing industry collapses. This isn't theory, it's already happened. And that's just one example from one region. But there's another side. Legislative bans on finning are already in place in the European Union, the United States, Canada, and Australia. Marine reserves have been established in the Maldives and the Bahamas, where sharks are fully protected, and economic calculations show that a living shark brings tourism many times more money than its dead body on the market. Scientists are studying the immune system of sharks to develop new antibacterial drugs. The structure of shark skin has inspired materials to reduce water resistance. The ampullae of Lorenzini are inspiring engineers to create a new generation of electric sensors. Sharks have turned out to be more valuable alive than dead, not only for the ecosystem, but also for our science and technology. Remember where we started? With a boy standing ankle deep in the surf, afraid of the dark water. That fear hasn't gone away. It probably never will. It runs too deep. It's been recorded in us by evolution for too long. But now, behind it stands not an image from a horror movie, but understanding. Understanding that in that dark water swims a creature that has been here for 450 million years before us and has survived everything nature has ever thrown at it. Asteroids, ice ages, extinctions, complete climate overhauls. 5 times life on the planet has been on the brink, and 5 times sharks have come through. They can't deal with us, not because we're stronger, not because we're smarter, but because we act faster than they can recover. And the only question that really matters is whether we'll understand this before there's nothing left to save. Thanks for watching, and we'd appreciate it if you'd subscribe to the channel and like the video.